Hello students and welcome back. Today we shall continue the second half of the lesson, the Luncheon, from the textbook of Standard 10 English, presented by Sara Pereira. Let us have a quick recap about the writer of the lesson and the first half of the lesson that we have completed in the previous video. This lesson is written by William Somerset Maugham, who was born in 1874 and died in 1965. He was a distinguished British playwright, novelist, and a short story writer. He was among the most popular writers of his era and reputedly the highest paid author during the 1930s. His work is characterized by a clear, unadorned style, cosmopolitan settings, and a shrewd understanding of human nature. In this lesson, he talks about an incident that has happened in his life, and he describes how he met a guest whom he thought that she was interested in his writing and was there to appreciate his work. But later on, that meeting or that luncheon that they had in a very famous restaurant in Paris turns out to be a very difficult one because he was not having much money, and the guest that was invited, she was saying that she does not eat much, but she ordered more than 2 3 items for the lunch already. So let us see what happens ahead in this luncheon, whether this luncheon ends with a positive note or what happens, that we shall see in this module. First extract for this module, page number 152, from I see that you're in the habit till page number 153, I would come back and pay later. Let's read. I see that you're in the habit of eating a heavy luncheon. I'm sure it's a mistake. Why don't you follow my example and just eat one thing? I couldn't possibly eat anything more unless they had some of those giant asparagus. I should be sorry to leave Paris without having some of them. My heart sank. I had seen them in the shops and I knew that they were horribly expensive. My mouth had often watered at the sight of them. I'm not in the least hungry. My guest sighed. But if you insist, I don't mind having some asparagus. I ordered them. Aren't you going to have any? No, I never eat asparagus. We waited for the asparagus to be cooked. Panic seized me. It was not a question now of how much money I should have left over for the rest of the month, but whether I had enough to pay the bill. It would be mortifying to find myself 10 francs short and be obliged to borrow from my guest. I knew exactly how much I had, and if the bill came to more, I made up my mind that I would put my hand in my pocket and with a dramatic cry start up and say it had been picked. Of course, it would be awkward if she had not money enough either to pay the bill. Then the only thing would be to leave my watch and say I would come back and pay later. We can see that the guest has already eaten two or I think 3 dishes of fish already. And she's saying that she does not eat much. She eats only one thing, but now she wants to eat the giant asparagus. The writer, he lives in Paris and he knows how much is the cost of the giant asparagus. He had already always watched it in the shop and always he wanted to eat it, but he himself never uh, took it for himself because he did not have much money and he was thinking about the whole month to be spent. But here, in front of his guest, he could not say anything, so his heart sank and he was in this horrible state where he could not say no, but he was also worried whether he has enough to pay. So he did not show it from outside, but somewhere within he was all panicked because he was worried whether he will be having sufficient money to pay the bill. earlier he had already made up all the list that how much he will be paying in the hotel and how much will be left for the monthly expense, and that he will have to cut on the daily coffee. But now he did not have much money, and then he was trying to make plans that what would he do. And this was a very humorous plan that he came up with, that when the bill would come, he would just in a dramatic cry, he would just say that my pocket is picked and somebody robbed my wallet and I don't have any money to pay. But then he's saying that if the guest also is not having any money to pay, then what can be done? And so he also plans of leaving his watch, and then the next day he would come and pay later. He himself does not know where he would pay from, because he does not have enough money. But he's trying to be very modest and very humble in front of the guest, and whatever the guest is ordering, he is very generously ordering all the dishes, but he is actually not enjoying the luncheon. He's worried about the bill. So let us see what happens next. Page number 153, from the asparagus appeared till took one. Let's read. The asparagus appeared. I watched her thrust them down her throat in large mouthfuls. At last she finished. Coffee? I said. Yes, just an ice cream and coffee, she answered. I was past carrying now. So I offered coffee for myself and an ice cream and coffee for her. You know, there's one thing I thoroughly believe in, she said, as she ate the ice cream. One should always get up from a meal feeling one could eat a little more. Are you still hungry? I asked faintly. Oh no, I'm not hungry. You see, I don't eat luncheon. I have a cup of coffee in the morning and then dinner, but I never eat more than one thing for luncheon. I was speaking for you. Oh, I see. Then a terrible thing happened. While we were waiting for the coffee, the head waiter came up to us bearing a large basket full of huge peaches. But surely peaches were not in season then. Lord knew what they cost. I knew a little later, for my guest, going on with her conversation, absent-mindedly took one. In this extract, there is another incident, a humorous incident that took place, that the writer was watching her gulp down the asparagus with large mouthfuls, and he himself, his mouth was watering, of course, but he could not eat it because he had ordered only one dish, and that was for the guest. And then at the end of the lunch, just as normal etiquettes, he asked her for coffee, and she was always ready for something or the other, so she said coffee and ice cream. The narrator, he orders for coffee, coffee for himself and an ice cream and coffee for her, and she's going on saying that she does not eat more than one thing, and she's also trying to give him some advices, saying that one should eat only one thing for a lunch, for a luncheon, and one should always feel hungry when he gets up from the meal. So the writer wonders whether after eating so many dishes the guest is still hungry or what. But then she's saying that that was something that she's trying to explain to him, because she thought that eating meal was very heavy or not a very wise decision on a writer's side. So she tries to explain to him that he should not eat more than one thing. But the writer himself did not eat much, but it was the guest who kept on eating. And then finally, one terrible thing happened, and that was there was a waiter who came with a large basket of peaches, and that was not the season for peaches as well. So the writer was wondering what will be the amount or what will be the cost of the peaches, but he did not have to wonder much, because later on that was also included in his bill, because his guest, who was continuously talking, and she was of this nature that she kept on talking about different things, about art, about music, about literature, and also about food. So she was so absent minded while talking that she took one peach for herself after having a long luncheon. And so that was another addition to the bill. So the writer is now worried even more about the cost. Page number 153 from You see, you have filled your stomach till page 154. Today she weighs 21 stone. Let us read. You see, you have filled your stomach with a lot of meat, my one miserable little chop, and you can't eat any more. But I've just had a snack, and I shall enjoy a peach. The bill came, and when I paid it, I found that I had only enough for a quite inadequate tip. Her eyes rested for an instant on the 3 francs I left for the waiter, and I knew that she thought me mean. But when I walked out of the restaurant, I had the whole month before me, and not a penny in my pocket. Follow my example, she said, as we shook hands, and never eat more than one thing for luncheon. I'll do better than that, I retorted. I'll eat nothing for dinner tonight. Humorist, she cried gaily, jumping into a cab. You are quite a humorist, but I have had my revenge at last. I do not believe that I am a vindictive man, but when the gods take a hand in the matter, it is understandable to observe the result with satisfaction. Today she weighs 21 stone. So the lesson ends with a very humorous note. Okay, the lunch ends and then they both have a normal see off where she's again trying to advise him that he shouldn't have eaten much and filled his stomach with a lot of meat. The writer is wondering that he just had one dish, and that also is something that he's having to listen about. So the pitch was something that was that she's trying to justify is not much because she has had only a snack for the luncheon and not much. The bill came, and the writer was actually worried about the payment throughout the luncheon, but then he was able to pay the bill and he had only 3 francs left for the tip. But he was helpless, he did not have anything more, and he had a whole month for his expenditure, and he was worried about that rather than giving the tip. Later on, now the flashback gets over, and then he's back again, and he's trying to say that maybe at that time he could not do anything about the situation. He had to mutely follow whatever was happening, and he was he did not eat much, and the guest kept on eating. But he's saying that the god has taken the revenge, and she is weighing 21 stone. Now, stone is a was a measuring unit in British many years ago, and when we are talking about 21 stone, it means approximately 133 kilograms. So she was more than 100 kgs, and this the writer is thinking is a revenge, that because she ate so much and she did not allow him to eat anything, this is the revenge that god has taken, that today she is weighing so much, and maybe uh, she is also regretting that she was eating so much for the luncheon, and she troubled the writer also. So the writer is thinking that this is the revenge that at last is taken by god, and not he himself did not have to do much about it. Now let us have a quick evaluation. Question number 1. How many things did the guest eat in all? For this you will have to read the entire lesson. The guest at the beginning ordered salmon, then caviar, then she ordered coffee and ice cream, she ordered asparagus, she ordered peaches. Peach was not ordered, but she ate it absent-mindedly. So these were few things that she ate. You'll have to read the text for this answer. Question number 2. Choose the correct option from the bracket and fill in the blanks. First one. The chief guest dashed the students. The answer is the chief guest addressed the students. B. The crow was dashed to sing. The answer is the crow was unwise to sing. C. I invited my relatives to dash. Answer will be I invited my relatives to luncheon. D. Parents always dash on children to be all-rounders. Your answer will be parents always insist on children to be all-rounders. E. The king decided to donate his wealth among his subjects dash. The answer is the king decided to donate his wealth among his subjects generously. Question number 3. Who said to whom? First, I never eat anything for luncheon. The answer is this sentence was said by the guest to the writer. Second, are you still hungry? This sentence or this question was asked by the narrator to the guest. Question number 4. There are quite a few places where the author uses the expressions my heart sank, panic seized, etc. What was the reason for this? Explain. Students, you will have to read the lesson carefully. There were instances when the writer was worried about the bill actually. And whenever the guest was ordering new dishes which were out of season, which were very expensive, at those times or at those moments, the author was feeling or he was having these expressions like my heart sank and panic seized. These were the expressions he had because he did not have much money, and he was aware of it, and he was aware of what would happen if he was not able to pay the bill. Okay, this is the explanation for the answer. However, you will have to pick up lines from the lesson which will justify your answer. Let us have few grammar questions. Question number 1. Use appropriate articles. First, I have just had dash snack. The answer is I have just had a snack. Next, I have dash cup of coffee in the morning. The answer is I have a cup of coffee in the morning. Third, I want just dash ice cream and coffee. Answer will be I want just an ice cream and coffee. Fourth one, author and his guest gave dash order and then waited for dash asparagus to be cooked. The answer is author and his guest gave the order and then waited for the asparagus to be cooked. Question number 2. Study the different uses of could. Identify what it indicates. Could is a modal auxiliary, and its functions are different based on the sentence. So you have to read the sentence carefully and try to understand what function it plays in the given sentence. Let us do the first one. Abhi could perform well in his school days. So this sentence does not show any suggestion. Therefore, the word could performs a function of past ability. Second one. Instead of playing computer games, you could play real games with friends. The options are past ability and suggestion. Now, when we're talking about playing computer games instead of playing with real friends instead of playing computer, it is a suggestion rather than any past ability. The last sentence. Could I use your computer for surfing net? This sentence is a request. So we know that the word could performs different functions like suggestion, past ability, request, possibility, etc. I hope you understood the lesson. Thank you.